publicly.
And we
Okay.
did it publicly, but not on camera, so if you
All
don't
right,
do
I
it-
will go ahead and certify the closed session since we're reconvening into open. Certification of closed session. Whereas the Virginia Beach Development Authority of the City of Virginia Beach has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this Virginia Beach Development Authority that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Virginia Beach Development Authority of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Virginia Beach Development Authority. And we're going to have a motion, a second, and then a roll call vote. A motion for Mr. Weisenseal?
Second.
Second for Mr. Brunke. And Kayla, could you redo the roll call? Thank you.
William Brunkley.
Yes.
Taylor Franklin.
Yes.
Eric Heplinger.
Yes.
Penny Morgan.
Yes.
Lisa Murphy.
Yes.
Ryan Parker.
Yes.
Mike Standing.
Yes.
Danny Wiener.
Yes.
Dr. Weisenstein.
Yes.
All right, well, we are convening, and this is, as far as I know, this is our first time ever having a BBDA visioning session and strategic workshop. You know, so often we come in here and we get briefed on a project, or we get a presentation on a project that we have a little bit of time to ask questions about, but this is really our opportunity to think a little bit bigger and more holistically, and think about how we approach the properties that we own, how we might manage them better, what we might do differently, and then just overall our vision. Now, this is not going to be our end-all, be-all strategic workshop. There are lots of other things that we may want to talk about in the future, so we can reconvene and talk about those. But this is just, we wanted to highlight in the next couple of hours a few sort of key items that we have been talking about that we may want to dive a little more deeply into. And in front of you, you've got the items. So we're going to get a presentation on the comp plan and economic development growth and the impact of the comp plan. Business retention and expansion, we're going to discuss the different policies and the different tools that we have, both for large and small businesses. We're going to talk about our business parks and our assets, and then other items of interest. Because Deputy City Manager Jarrett has to leave here in just a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and move up item B, where we talk about business and retention and expansion, so that she can brief us on the EDIP policy amendments and the small business grant program. And those were just briefed to City Council as Jarrett told us. So go ahead and update us. And for those of you who don't know, I think Council did watch our discussion when we talked about the EDIP policy, especially the small business portion. So.
Good morning again, Vice Mayor Wilson, Councilmember Berlucci, Madam Chair, and members of the board. I won't spend a lot of time on this presentation, but when they were putting together the agenda for the retreat, we thought it might be helpful to dive into the details regarding the EDIP program. You hear the staff present about it on a monthly basis, and you did recently, over the last few months, adopt changes to that, but we thought it would be best for you to have a comprehensive overview of the program and the different components that are considered. So first, the purpose of the presentation today is to give you an overview of the program, to provide you an overview of the changes that you all recommended, and then to seek City Council direction on next steps, which we've done. Again, as you all know, it's a tool that you use to provide discretionary grants to those businesses that are looking to move to the City of Virginia Beach or expand within the city. And then the graphic here shows you the process that each of the applicants go through when they are trying to utilize this program. Previous to the changes that are going to be acted on September 17th, the last revisions were done to the policy in 2020. So as you all are aware, there are multiple components to the program. Part A is for qualifying new businesses that are seeking to locate here or expand within the city. And those awards are based on jobs created and or retained to the city, as well as capital investment. Part B of the program covers development or redevelopment in strategic growth areas, in special economic growth areas, economic redevelopment areas, or opportunity zones, and these awards are based solely on capital investment. Part C covers the development or redevelopment of properties in APZ 1 or the clear zones, and again, these are based on solely capital investment. And then Part D is the portion that provides a discussion of general provisions that are applicable to all of the parts that I just discussed. So back in February of 2024, you all approved amendments to the EDIP policy that more closely aligned it with the state policy and gives the staff the ability to match Commonwealth Opportunity Funds or any incentives that are offered from the Commonwealth. You adjusted the thresholds for average wage, and we'll discuss that in more detail in just a few minutes. We clarified the documentation that's required for the disbursement of awards. And then the changes also removed Part E, which was specific to reaction to the COVID pandemic and state of emergency. Then following these changes in June of 2024, you approved the addition of Part F, which generated wonderful, thoughtful discussion, and we'll dive into that program later on in a few slides. So under capital investment definition and coordination with the state, when the project is being incentivized by the Commonwealth, BBDA may approve an EDIP that varies specifically from our adopted policy in order to match the requirements provided by BEDP. Also, one of the major changes is that the cost of acquisition of land and existing buildings will not count towards the capital investment unless it's bringing a property back onto the tax rolls. So if they're purchasing the property from a governmental entity where it wasn't previously being taxed, then that can count, but we are no longer incentivizing the cost to buy a building that's currently on the tax rolls. With regards to adding qualifying jobs definitions, remote jobs, the definition was clarified to say that the residents may not exceed 115 miles from the city of Virginia Beach. And then for contractors, it provided more clarity for what that includes as well. With regards to the wage levels, Tier 1 jobs are incented for $1,000 for an employee that's paid at least 1.2 of the average annual wage, and then $3,000 for a Tier 2 employee that's paid at least 1.7 the average annual wage. So to give you a sense of what that looks like, currently a Tier 1 job would be at $58,000, and the average annual wage is $58,000, so a Tier 1 job would be at $69,000, and a Tier 2 job would be at $98,000. So with regards to the documentation requirements and clarifying that in the policy, funds that are based on capital expenditure must include invoices and evidence of payment. Funds based on the job creation must include the applicant's Virginia Employment Commission quarterly tax report. Previously, this was just being done for projects that were incented by the state, but now this will apply to all projects. Funds based on remote worker jobs must include that individual's title and salary, their hire date, and their zip code of residence at remote work, so that we can clarify that as well. Again, as I mentioned, these changes did remove Part E, which was associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. So in the 2023 City Council Winter Retreat, there was a request to create a program that would be more readily available to small or historically underserved businesses. And so these would include small, women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned businesses. The recommendation is to provide grants up to $10,000 per approved business. The available funds for the first round are $150,000. What we did share with City Council is there's just over $560,000, I think 567. 556 available, but the recommendation was to start the pilot program with $150,000, gauge the interest, look at the policies and procedures and how it's received, and then we can move forward with additional programming under this once we've completed the first round. And so, again, as I mentioned, the future rounds would be dependent on direction from BBDA. The source of the funds are those local funds that were allocated to BBDA as a part of the COVID-19 emergency. But as you all discussed at a previous meeting, these are not federal funds, and so there is no time restriction associated with utilizing them. So who would qualify for this? Businesses that have fewer than 25 employees. They hold a City of Virginia Beach business license. Those individuals can't have benefited from a city grant program within the last 12 months. They must be current on all their taxes and fees, and they can't employ anyone who is a member of City Council, BBDA, or the Small Business Minority Council. So here's the schedule. As I mentioned, this was briefed to City Council on September 3rd. It's scheduled to be on their voting meeting September 17th. There'll be a series of pre-application workshops. We'll offer 4 virtual and 4 in person. That is mandatory for you to attend one of these pre-application workshops. We'll begin accepting applications towards the end of October and accept those until all the funds are depleted. So the selection committee, as you all recall, will include 4 members, someone from BBDA, the Minority Business Council, the Department of Economic Development, and the City Manager's Office. The criteria will be what is utilized to score the applications, and businesses must commit to attending business instruction and development at the HAB if they are awarded a grant. There was lots of thoughtful discussion about the permitted uses by this body. And so you can see here on the slide what was discussed. This is a reimbursement program as well. And so as I mentioned, we did recommend to City Council and they did agree to move forward with this program. I hope this overview is helpful again to remind you when you're hearing the staff say, and we recommend the EDIP award of this. It is very prescriptive based on those capital investment numbers, the average annual wage as you just heard, and then the documentation requirements that have now been more formalized has been put into place as well. And we're excited to start the implementation of Part F in just a few weeks.
Any questions? I just had one comment. So just so that the public knows, we make the award based on projections, but we don't actually pay out any of the award until we see that either the receipts or the taxes or employment information. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. So the requirements are now very formalized regarding the invoices, the bills, the proof of payment, and as we mentioned, the requirement that the Virginia Employment Commission quarterly report is provided to the office to ensure that they are employing those individuals at those projected wage rates. Great. Thank you again for the accommodation regarding the schedule, and Isan will now talk to you about the wonderful work going on at the HAB as well as workforce initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Vice Mayor Wilson, Councilmember Bellucci, commissioners. So just a quick overview of all our accomplishments of last year's at the Hive and some talent innovation initiatives. So we have increased our client numbers and scored like 550 for the year. We are close to 150 business resource partners. Those includes educational institutions, financial institutions, and local, state, federal agencies. And mostly we have a big number of small businesses themselves that are in the professional services, like your business attorney, your marketing, your web development, and so forth. We have held about 245 events and workshops. Those do not include the Virginia Wesleyan classes and TCC classes, so strictly workshops and training. We've had 191 small Virginia Beach businesses got their SWAM certifications. We've held about 10 one-on-one counseling sessions, and those include the ones with SCORE, all our business partners, Virginia Apex on procurements, and so forth. And we've had 104 business plan graduates. It stuns us and surprises us a bit, you know, when we see existing businesses in the first, second year, bit struggling, no business plan. So we've held 3 cohorts, and then we have Operation Hope from Fulton Forward that also holds those business plan classes. We've assisted 48 veteran-owned businesses, and Thrive at the Hive, that's the no-cost workspace available for home-based businesses with a current Virginia Beach business license, or military spouses, veterans from all Hampton Roads. And we've had about 19 of those. They can get a space either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday for 60 working days. And we make all resources available to them. Out of those 1310 one-on-one businesses, we've held the Hive, so it's mostly Henry Cobb, which I would like to acknowledge here. And myself, we do one-on-one with Virginia Beach businesses. And then, you know, get them like about 30 minutes and see, you know, and make the referrals and so forth. So we broke them down by districts.
So it's pretty evenly spread, really.
Pretty much, yes. And this, they don't include August, and I know that Henry had quite a few, like about 3-4 per day.
Wow.
We're very proud our Hive monthly newsletter. September, I'm also glad to say that it's 100% ADA compliant. That was a big challenge, yes, but we made it. And this newsletter is a bit different than the usual because it includes all our programming for the month. So the in-person, the virtual, the available grants, the one-on-one, and any upcoming opportunity.
Thank you for putting that on a QR code. So let's sit here for just a minute. This is the QR code. If
Yes.
anybody wants a copy of the newsletter
Mm-hmm.
to see what the available programming and grants and all of the things that we have available for small businesses,
Yes.
that's where they go.
That's a live link. I could go through it, but I know you guys don't have time, so.
Yeah, well, it's good to have a live link. The other question I have for you, and it may be on another slide, the address of the Hive, just for folks that aren't as familiar with Town Center, haven't seen the big sign.
Yeah, it's
right
in
on.
the newsletter also, yeah. It's 140 Independence Boulevard, corner of Independence and Columbus.
And you're right there on the corner, so hopefully folks can find you.
Yeah. And so every month we celebrate the Heritage or the History Month. So it happens that September is Hispanic. So we're partnering with the Chamber for Hispanic Progress. And we're doing some great things together. We also have Expand Logi marketing Hispanic firm. So they offer both English and counseling workshops in Spanish as well. Also with the Chartway Federal Credit Union, the one that is located in Kempsville is bilingual. So they have everything in Spanish, so it's great and it helps our Hispanic and Latino community. Okay, moving on to the talent innovations, I'm just gonna speak about some partnerships and programs that are in the works. We love our partnership with the Virginia Wesleyan University. It's really our way of aligning the Virginia Beach employers' needs with the programs that are offered by Virginia Wesleyan. Different workshops, they are in-person and virtual. So the in-person are like for 2 months and a half. Some of them are held at the Hive, others on campus. And I've listed some of the classes there. We've heard also from Virginia Beach employers, and we've been offering a lot of cybersecurity classes with certifications. So thanks to the city, for this program, we started it at the pandemic, if you recall, using CARES Act funding. Program was so successful, it got the attention of both Senators Warner and Kane, that have provided funds to get the cybersecurity lab upgraded in Virginia Wesleyan University. City Council, thanks to City Council, have been funding this for the past 2 fiscal years. And this is great. really the only cost associated with the certain class certification cybersecurity are the cost of the textbook and the exam voucher. Other than that, they're made free for all communities.
That's great.
The other thing is tied with TCC. So again, with the CARES Act funding money, we've used 1.2 million to purchase offshore wind equipment lab that is hosted in TCC in Virginia Beach campus. They have now the program for the career studies certificate for introduction to wind energy, but because, you know, it's not, construction just started, so it's not really getting much traction today, but you know, there are several other classes related to like electrician, some special electrician and so forth that are being in the works. We're also looking at mobile welding for some underserved areas. We're gonna do that. And the FAME, we've been trying for a little over a year now to bring this, to open a chapter in Virginia Beach. It's Federation of Advanced Manufacturing Education that would basically supply a sustainable pipeline for manufacturing industries, where the students could work 3 days, go to school 2 days with the sponsoring company, 5 semesters. They will get a career certificate and also a certificate from the Manufacturing Institute. We do also a lot of great things with the Hampton Roads Workforce Council with the Veteran Employment Center. So we've been present in all the career summits. One is upcoming next week in Fort Eustis. We usually share those with our Virginia Beach employers if they want to attend. I mean, you get all those transitioning military service members there, and I mean, it's great. I've been to others, and it's just, the energy is like, wow. So we're gonna have Amazon being at Fort Eustis on the 11th. They're gonna need 200 FTEs very soon, and we're also working with the community college both in Virginia Beach and in the peninsula on their programs. DoD Scale Bridge Expo, Higher Vets Now, those are all those great events. Now, we've started last month, we have a high presence at the Veteran Employment Center in Newport News, two Mondays a month. And then at the Hive, which is great, and it gives us really great exposures, is we hold so many events, military and veteran events at the Hive. So we have, after the TAP workshops, we get all the new V3 certified Virginia Values veterans, certified companies meeting there, executive military transition seminars, so all those officers that are about to exit service. Looking at, we present all the different options. So they are the ones that are looking for employment, and there are others that are looking to start a business. And several military spouse programs, and we also hold once a month a veteran, strictly veteran business roundtable. And it's great because you see people with IDIs, veterans, you know, wanting to start a business, very well established businesses. And this was started by Craig Colucci. He's with the TDAP in Virginia Beach. So he's been a champion about that. Other things, the Hampton Roads Workforce Council, so they have past year serviced 67 Virginia Beach business assistants with recruitment services, workers training, 12 Virginia Beach residents with training and career counseling, and 40 enrolled in VB Thrive, which also Henry helps at the Hive. Scale Up USA, that's a federal contracting accelerator program. Owner is Nitin Prathan. He was the CIO of under the Obama administration. So the CHIPS Act and all of that, he helps basically people businesses win and execute government federal opportunities and contracts. Transition Overwatch, that's also for military, creating tactile to military apprenticeship. Basically, the training happens 12 months before the transition. And at transition, they can start their apprenticeship at the sponsoring company. Maritime Institute, thanks to Paige. So we just started talking about our collaboration on GWO training, welding labs, and job placement for their graduates. This is a great program because 95% of their programs, everything they do is has to be stamped basically by the Coast Guard. Virginia Beach Technical and Career Education. They have, in matter of fact, their welding lab today at noon, a ribbon cutting, so that's a great addition. We're part of the the GAC, the General Advisory Council. Do a lot of internships. We work a lot with Dr. Lockett, Sarah Lockett, Skill Trade. Our gym is really Campsville High School Entrepreneurship Business Academy. We've been getting some incredible interns. We do mentorships, and we're involved with the pitch competition at the end of the academic year. And then the VB Adult Learning Center, another hidden gem. I mean, they just do wonderful things. But we're mostly involved with their ELC students. So those are either new immigrants or new people coming learning English and everything. They usually have like 600 per year. So we have a lot of them looking for either employment or wanting to start a business. And this Thursday, we're doing a ribbon cutting for Industry Expo. So basically, that's by Mexback Technologies. They are Indians, but headquarters in Dubai, and they're setting foot in Virginia Beach. Basically, anything that has to do with digitizing the manufacturing industries. And we have this set up at the ATC. So you own two conference rooms there. So we are using one of them to have the setup that would be used for demonstrations to either to companies that would like to implement this industry, and you can do it by phases. Also to train the trainers, to train the students at the ATC. We're also partnering with Dr. Lockett, and there will be a press release sometimes today about this. And I hope you're gonna come and this Thursday. And that's about it. So, any questions?
I've got just a couple of questions, and thank you so much. I hope that the public has the opportunity to see all of the things that we're doing at the Hive for small businesses, all the partnerships. You know, so often we get employers who we've provided grants to that come back to us and say, we can't hire the skilled people, we need, they need more training. And so I think it's great that we're providing both training and the business plan workshops, and that's spread really across the city. I'll let Gunter speak because I know that he's been involved in some of these training programs. But just really quickly, from your perspective, is there any support? Is there anything you could be getting or that you might need from the Development Authority where we could help you either focus in a particular area or provide any assistance? If you have an ask for us, now is the time.
That would be great. So any program that I try to bring, really, because we have limited funding, so as you know, our budget is very limited, and we still draw from the department's operating budget. So basically, all the programs that I'm bringing so far are based on just partnership and collaboration. We are supporting the city of Virginia Beach is submitted a grant for 14 EV electrical stations at the city, and there is a workforce component there. We're short-staffed, and I'm sure there are a lot of grants out there, but grants, I mean, it's like it's the application, it's the administration, it's the reporting, and it really takes time. But we still want to look at it, so, yeah, anything.
Grant writing.
Yeah.
That's helpful. That's helpful. Gunter, do you want to add anything about because I know you've traveled to Germany and there are specific light manufacturing apprenticeship type programs.
And there's a lot of things happening with their colleges, and they're building up some of these programs. And there's also quite a bit of money available through the work programs. I think there's another, but I don't think, there was another $6 million grant for maritime just last week. And I mean, please go with Sean Avery. He can probably guide you if there's any more money available for you. I mean, the budget there went from $8 million to $48 million in the last 4 years.
Wow.
So there's a lot of money available, but mainly maritime. There's $60 million invested in maritime.
Well, I would think welding and, you know, I've never welded, that's not a skill set of mine, but I would think that's training that you could apply that to maritime, you could apply that to light manufacturing. I mean, welding seems to be something that really hits a broad spectrum of industries.
It does. I mean, there's a lot of welding, especially welding where you can actually seal people underwater. So there's a lot of welding trained.
That's great. Anything that we could be doing as a body to help get some of these programs off the ground, or make sure that you've got the steady stream of
I think it's more being the convener, getting the businesses connected to these programs. Because I think a lot of times some businesses don't even understand where they need to go.
That's a good point. How do we connect with businesses?
You know, that's a very good point, and I always value Gunter's opinion when I bring a program, and I like always to take his, you know, his thoughts about it. Just like for inviting for this ribbon cutting on Thursday, I found it very challenging. I don't know, I feel like there is a disconnect, or I think we as a team in economic development, we need to do a better job at reaching out at, you know, it's going to be part of our BRE, definitely, that we are currently discussing.
Yeah, because the sexy part of what we do, for lack of a better way to put it, is the big businesses and the big ribbon cuttings. But, you know, it's just as important to our community that we're able to help small businesses and, you know, the two people in a garage that, you know, start a bank that ends up being a regional bank. You know, those are very important, as important to our community and our tax base as the bigger deal. So it's good for us to remember that.
Well, sometimes it's also just having the information. On Wall Street yesterday, they had this great article about this survey that the National Federation of Independent Businesses did, and they gave some very, you know, scary data about the labor shortages and everything. So even though our unemployment rate is low, it's still that there are job openings that people just don't find the skilled workers. And this is good for transportation, construction, manufacturing, or Main Street.
We need to connect our businesses with the folks that have the skills, and then train folks who are looking, especially our military veterans who are looking to transition. So many of them, fortunately for us, want to live and stay in Virginia Beach, and so we need to make sure they're aware of the opportunities to do that.
So I've wrote a list of items to discuss during this, and reasons for wanting to do this, and this is probably one of the key items here. And so I know when you get busy and you say short-staffed, or you know the forms, I mean, I get it. If it's not directly someone's position, it's very challenging to get that done. It just goes to the wayside or overwork somebody. Is there a path to doing something like this? I think my comment here was, how do we leverage our existing assets i.e. government programs, colleges, corporate sponsorships, et cetera. I mean, who within the department could possibly do that? Is that worthy of assigning something like he says?
What we do, and some partners are more accessible than others, and yeah, I mean we have some great partnership and great collaboration. I mean, no question about it, and
Sure.
makes it very easier when there is that open discussion. And but when others, they are slower in responding, and getting something to take off it's challenging.
Right, but if there was a program that they all could enter into, because there's a central program, not just somebody reaching out, and because it's hard. I mean, every different business has these different splinters that are challenging to deal with. But this seems like such an important part of economic development, is bringing these people together, the jobs, of course, everything. If there's somehow, some way we had to dedicate it, I mean, that's somebody's, specialty within economic development. They work with that because it's paramount to growth.
I think that's important. I just had a thought. When somebody applies for a business license, and I think a lot of places you can do it online, and sometimes it's a matter of filling out the form. But I wonder if we couldn't connect more with people through the business licensing process, where we let people know there's an opportunity at the Hive to get that training if they're a startup business. Okay, so there is a way.
Dottie Schultz from the commissioner, we work with her, and we have great working relationship with her and everything. The other thing, it's like was challenging with the Virginia Beach business license. They post their physical addresses but no emails. We went ahead and did like the past year, and I've seen a good 67, 68% of all newly created businesses per month are home-based businesses. So even Kathy helped us out before to reach out to them, and we did mail cards. I'm sure those were just thrown in the trash. We didn't see an uptick. And we looked at going through planning because when you apply for a business license, you have to have a zoning certificate. So we were hoping through zoning certificate, through the forms, capture some key data. Because we don't know how many Hispanics, we don't know how many agents, we don't know how many black businesses are in the city of Virginia Beach. We know the region, we have an idea, we know the states, the Fed, but the city itself, there's no data about that.
So we might be able to get more information if we can connect that way.
Remove your business license online, that would help you.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know who.
Up until a couple of years ago, I had to go every year
In person.
in person.
In person.
Yeah, so of course I'm not gonna give them an email address.
Right, yeah.
They're gonna have to have my physical address because that's where all their equipment and everything is attached to.
That's an interesting point. And I don't know, Isan, if that's something you can do or it's something we need to ask our council liaisons to look into, but if you could renew a business solely online, you might be able to get more data that way.
I think it's a state law that the commissioner, I'm not sure what it is.
Maybe they
that
need a
the state-
signature.
that the commissioner cannot share email addresses.
Is there a stack of brochures at the Commissioner of Revenue's office, okay, for new businesses?
They even has it, they even have it in the website, so.
Well, you open up new LLCs, you get mailings all the time. I'd rather have an email.
Right, yeah.
Spam it. You can't spam your mailbox.
Yeah, if there was a way for us to get that email information, that would be helpful. Because really, I think it's getting, a big part of it is getting the word out.
Yes. And the other thing, and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, we are finally launching our Hive socials in October.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a pilot program because really we are still, like the highway is hosted under economic development. Our audience is mostly Instagram and Facebook, it's not LinkedIn. And so we're going to have a pilot program and see how it works. So we had to set some metrics with the Department of Communications and
Yeah, so that would be.
will give us more exposure.
Who would be the person that would talk with the appropriate department to, someone could opt in on their email to say, would you like to know about programs that we have, or so forth and so on? You opt in, and at that point, we could email them.
You in the city? I'm sorry, I don't think,
Yeah,
I didn't understand the question.
Is that a communications thing? So if somebody is doing anything online where they're engaging with the city and they're a small business, is there a way for them to opt into your newsletter
Mhm.
that you guys do monthly, or?
I know the key, like VB Thrive, they have our link, the SWAM Business Office, Department of Finance, they have our link, and the Commissioner of Revenue have our link, and I believe also Planning, if I'm not mistaken, have our link.
Yes.
Yeah.
People unfortunately don't proactively hit links, so maybe it could get through the chamber, maybe the chamber could give it to all.
They're good partners.
But are they pushing out opportunities?
See, that's the thing, when we send out our monthly newsletter, so we have this list, a separate list of just business partners, we always ask them to please share. We know who shares because we see our workshops in their newsletter and everything, but the rest, we can't make them, can only ask.
I get an email once a week, every Friday, from y'all.
The weekly updates.
Weekly update, yeah. I think I signed up for that 6 or 8 months ago.
Okay.
How did you sign up for it?
I don't remember. I think a presentation after y'all came in and did a
Planning
presentation. And then on the presentation, it was on there, so I signed up for it.
So hopefully having that QR code available.
We have QR codes, I mean, we know people now they just wanna click and.
And I think it's good for our business development managers and everybody in economic development department, when they're working for a business, to make sure they're constantly, getting them in touch with you if they have training needs or hiring needs. That's important. Yeah. Good reminder for folks, because this really is such an important component of what we're supposed to be doing. And our job is to ultimately increase the tax base, right, through the incentives that we can provide, and certainly this is a component of that. Any other questions for Isan? All right, well, thank you very much. I think that covers item B, so we're now going to move back up to A, which is our comprehensive plan and economic development growth impact. We've got Rachel Miller here with us, and Kathy Warren, who is our Director of Planning. I almost said Economic Development. Thank you, no.
All right, well, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the authority, council members. I'm Rachel Miller. I'm a planner in the Comprehensive Planning Division, Planning Department, and I'll be presenting with Kathy Warren today to discuss how the update to the comp plan and the current comp plan work with the policies for economic development opportunities. Before I jump into economic development, I'll take a moment to just talk about the public engagement we've done so far. At this point, we've done 3 surveys with over 9,000 responses, 10 focus groups, and 10 public meetings with about 1,500 participants, and staff have attended 65 stakeholder meetings so far. Consistent feedback we've heard revolve around themes like creating Virginia Beach into a city where people want to stay for a lifetime, find that level of balanced growth with major points circling back to protecting established neighborhoods from over and underdevelopment, finding that appropriate threshold for infill and redevelopment, maintaining the green line, and finding places throughout Virginia Beach to focus on economic development. Residents also spoke highly about the city becoming more resilient, environmentally, socially, and economically, and multimodal transportation. People really want more options on how they navigate through the city, whether it be by walking, biking, self-powered scooters, and transit and doing it all safely. So these context areas here are going to be implemented as the 4 major geographical regions of Virginia Beach, and they're a new concept in the comp plan. The areas called out are going to be called the inland, coastal, courthouse, transition, and rural context areas. Their main purpose is to help further identify development and land use goals on a larger scale. In the transition courthouse context here, might have a different naming convention by the time of adoption, but that won't affect any policies with that area. Another component we're adding to the comp plan is formally identifying planning areas and districts. And here we have identified thus far those that relate to economic development in the inland context area. In the inland context area is the area that we see where the most growth and development is going to be focused. So those blue shapes are the business and industrial parks identified by the economic development, like corporate landing, and all those boundaries will be explicitly mapped in the comp plan as a new addition. We heard feedback from citizens and commissions alike that VB needs more designated spaces for businesses to grow, and this is an approach we are taking to work towards that goal. Also, any associated guidelines like the corporate landing business park design criteria would also be reaffirmed. The purple areas are special planning areas that have more specific neighborhood scale towards residential and non-residential uses, and those are areas like our current suburban focus areas, like the military highway corridor and the first colonial medical areas. So the next few slides, I'm going to go through our existing planning areas that are in the comp plan that pertain to economic development. We are affirming the special economic growth areas, SEGAs, that are called out in the current comprehensive plans. SEGAs 1, 2, and 3 are definitely geared more towards the light industrial, commercial, non-residential uses as they fall right along Oceana there. While SEGA 4 has a little bit of a different approach, focusing more on medical research, hospitality, and recreation. And of course, Innovation Park is in the middle of SEGA 4 and is an important component to supporting medical research, finance, technology, and other fields, and as well as implementing that vision we have set in the ITA and Vicinity Master Plan. The strategic growth areas will also be reaffirmed. There's a lot of discussion about infill and redevelopment, and the SGAs are a big part of that conversation. Redevelopment goals and strategies will be highlighted throughout the comp plan, and especially in the SEGAs as the city's major urban centers. Another important note might be the Virginia Beach Trail. Upon its completions, it's also going to have an important economic opportunity and a really unique one for trail-oriented design as that comes to fruition.
Does that run mainly through the middle of that, of the strategic growth areas?
Yeah,
Yes.
so right through the Norfolk Southern, former Norfolk Southern right away.
I also wanted to take some time to clarify elements in the transition courthouse context area, since it does have a handful of plans and associated boundaries within this location between the green line and the blue line. I know most of you are familiar with the green line as the city's urban growth boundary, but the blue line's maybe a little less of a common term, as it's the city's urban services boundary line, meaning services like electrical and water stop there. And the introduction of the blue line will be its first time formally mentioned into a comprehensive plan. So this context area is defined by 2 planning areas, Princess Anne Commons and the transition area. And they both are looking for that transition from urban to rural use. But the way they go about it is a little bit different. So Princess Anne Commons is that purple western boundary, and its vision is to offer the city unique education, entertainment, recreation, habitat preservation, and quality economic development opportunities while adhering to regulations set by the ACUs. And a majority of the land in Princess Anne Commons is also talked about and has recommendations for in the ITA and Vicinity Master Plan, with some recommendations in that northernmost part of that boundary. So then the transition area is that orange area to the east and has a vision to carefully consider design and development that adheres to the unique environmental characteristics and calls for adherence to the transition area design guidelines. So as an example of how these two areas are a little different in the planning for, let's say, residential development, for example, the transition area design guidelines have that 50% open space requirement and the 1 unit per developable acre, while most of Princess Anne Commons is not really seeking or advising or looking to even rezone for residential development due to the ITA and the AQ's restrictions. Both areas require some unique thought and uses that respect both the environmental constraints and over in that Princess Anne Commons, the AQ's restrictions. That's it for me, and I can hand it over to Kathy to dive in a little deeper.
Kathy or Rachel, or maybe Kathy's gonna get to that. Where are parks in relation to the western purple area and the orange area?
So what was the question again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Where are business parks in relation to the purple area and the orange area?
So do we have a pointer? So Innovation Park, and I'm gonna get to this, actually, can you go to the next slide? So it's located right here. This is the sports complex, obviously the municipal center's here. Corporate landing's further up. But this in particular, I think, is the area that you wanna have discussion about, and that is, there's an interest, obviously, in the business community of expanding light industrial offerings. There's some conflicts here with the ITA plan, which is currently being updated. And as you see, this is the sports complex or athletic village in the ITA plan. Can you go to the next slide? And this right now is what Parks and Rec, this has been shown publicly. They have not put out their draft yet. City Council needs to see that first. But this is, Innovation Park is right here. And so they have been tasked, Parks and Rec have been tasked with looking at how they expand their athletic village and offerings within recreation. So that you're going to see come out in the next month or two. I believe they're gonna start presenting that and getting public feedback on what that plan calls for. So,
Is this the time for us through economic development and the comments that we got from our task force to present our alternative plan for how we see that area developing?
well, I think if I remember correctly, you were going to send a letter of what your preferences are for certain areas of the city that light industrial development expansion should be considered. Whether it ends up being here, or can you hit the next slide? Or this is a really good opportunity too. This is the Burton Station Strategic Growth Area. And all of this purple here is mostly owned by the airport. And there's some movement potentially there in the future. So it'd be really good if we can be conversing with them, which we might be already, and working toward how we master plan this area for light industrial development down the road. So I think that those are two specific areas that you may want to focus on, but this area is vacant. There's nothing going on here right now, so this is a really good opportunity in the future.
No AQ restrictions?
No. And they're getting, this right here is that clear zone for that cross runway, and that likely is going away.
But as far as timing is, because we have not sent our letter yet, is now the time to send it and
You can-
fine tune it, or wait until the draft comes out?
Yeah, I would say wait until the draft, which will be forthcoming in the next probably 60 days. We have some draft language already from the consultant, and now we're going through it internally to make sure it meets the needs of the internal departments before we put it out to the public to get their feedback, of which you will of course be part of that
So
process.
that's that 60-day wait, okay.
Yes. Okay.
Next steps.
You wanna hit that?
Yeah, so the past couple of months, since our last public engagement meetings, the consultant's been working on the actual draft of the plan. We've been starting to get that first round in. We're finishing up like a first round of revisions, getting another second. So we're not just quite ready yet for the public to comment on that. But that will be expected sometime in this fall period. We will continue to review them internally. We've also had other departments take a look at our draft policies and have them comment on it. I think we've had economic development involved, schools, emergency management, traffic, all those folks. And we will be holding another workshop, or probably multiple workshops with the Planning Commission once the draft is actually prepared. And we hope to have this adopted in early 2025.
Thank you. Any questions for Rachel or for Kathy? Taylor.
So, a couple questions. One, it seems like the pushing residential down Virginia Beach Boulevard, right? And you want to grow the businesses out by the courthouse and out by the transition area. You have the municipal center out there. So where do you see residential growth in the city if you want to have all of that out? And the green line is the blue line, the transition area, and you have 10,000 people working out there, 20,000, however many people work in this center. And where are the people supposed to live then? And how do you grow the businesses in this current kind of proposed draft comp plan, besides Virginia Beach Boulevard, which is completely built out already?
So, good question. I would say we still have some work to do in that area because we needed to get the drafts so that we can look at it and say, all right, now where do you plug those types of uses in? Where does it make sense? We are hampered a little bit by not a little bit, a lot by the ITA, as we all know down there. But there are properties that, we can find hopefully that happy medium to provide some additional residential opportunities and affordable opportunities in that area in particular. I know that's of great interest to City Council right now and how that's done. So I think there are two areas we're going to be taking a closer look at during the drafting process and maybe require a little bit more public engagement. And that's going to be in the ITA transition area, that whole courthouse area, and then likely up in the Shore Drive area as well, because we have those types of conversations up there also. But I do believe we're hearing, which to me I think is a really good thing, during this process with the comp plan and all of the public engagement, we're hearing a lot more about redevelopment, support for redevelopment, and how you do that in the future, which my understanding and experience has been the R word hasn't really been out there until, the recent last couple of years. People are open to it. They want to see us build up, not out, and they want us to concentrate in those SGAs. But yes, we have to find some other areas where we can provide some housing opportunities as well.
And I think if you look at affordability, and there was just another report, I forget who did it, that came out that said, we're losing businesses and we're losing residents because we don't have affordable housing. And I think as part of the comp plan, we really have to look at density and how we can achieve higher densities than A36 because our land is too valuable. I mean, the land alone is worth so much that the investment that people put into it will not result in anything but high market housing. So we've got to look at, and if, one of the things that's in the, I was thinking about this the other day, in the actual zoning ordinance under A36, which is our highest density and, by and large, too low a density even to get the type of affordable housing that we want. But in the preamble to that section, it says, and there's a, council will not support or not allow A36 where there's no existing A36 or A24. And so that takes huge chunks of Virginia Beach out, because if you don't already have the multifamily, which is what we desperately need more of, you're not going to get more of it because we've got a zoning ordinance that says it's got to be near zoned property. So I think, And hopefully, if that's not something we can address in the comp plan, maybe it's something that we can address through the zoning ordinance, because part of our challenge is our zoning ordinance is set up for large projects in certain areas. We're just running out of land to be able to do those. So I think it's important for the community to recognize that, because we need land for affordable housing, any kind of housing. And in my mind, you're not just focused on technically affordable housing, but if you look at the whole housing spectrum, the more housing we have across the spectrum, that's going to bring prices down. And what I don't think people realize is that the green line has artificially inflated all land values. It's great when you're going to sell your house, but that also means you've got, higher property values. And because we've prevented the development of a big part of the city, that's why we've got all of these really overinflated land values, so.
Right, well, if I can add a couple of things there. So yes, the 836 is the highest, with the exception of our form-based code areas, which is the central business core and town center, which we're hoping to expand some version of that to the west, all the way to Witch Duck in the near future. We've already done that with the western campus, which will allow developers to opt into a higher density zoning and allow for those opportunities to add residential, mixed use, office, whatever it is. The other thing I would say is you raised a really good point, which we should start talking about more. One of the recommendations that's coming out of the comp plan is our zoning ordinance and a rewrite. So that's where we will address that piece.
I mean, at least it's 100% right. I think you got to run those things parallel, though. It's very challenging, I would guess, to do a comp plan and knowing you're going to have a different zoning maybe in 2 years that says, hey, 836 is out the door. She's 100% right. I mean, 836. In most cities like ours, I mean, it's about very small zoning. I mean, we just did Norfolk that we got 90 units an acre because they've got a PUD where you can lay out exactly what you need. And that's not for everywhere in the city. That's not meant for the green line or out in that area, but it is meant for Beach Boulevard. And whatever you guys are looking at for the SGA expansion, you do need zonings that you can have 0 lines on the setbacks. You can have 80 units an acre. I mean, whatever it is, to really push Lisa's point, you won't get affordable housing because land is becoming so expensive that it's very, very challenging to make it work. Period.
Right.
Even if you've got credits or you've got grants, and I love the city a lot, but the only thing the city does is the zoning bonus with 30% bonus. I mean, that there's no infrastructure money that comes in for affordable housing. There's no tax rebate for affordable housing. I mean, those are things that have to be kind of run parallel while you're looking at this comp plan, in my opinion.
Right, and I agree. And so as you know too, City Council's been spending a lot of time on the housing study. And so they are thinking about different ways that they can incentivize the development of housing, affordable housing in particular. The zoning, it's gonna be a heavy lift for staff. So we are likely gonna get a consultant, which means we're going to have to, in the next budget cycle, ask for funding to assist with that. So I think you end up with an adoption of the comp plan, which recommends certain things in the budget cycle. Hopefully there's some funding, and then we can move forward with that. But then it's, and this is terrible, but it's going to time with an update of the comp plan.
Right, exactly.
So it's all gonna fall into
Great drawing.
place in the next few years,
Sam.
yes.
We know you guys have limited resources, and we appreciate you being, really planning, working hand in glove with economic development, and that's important for folks to know, but also, letting us be part of this process, so we appreciate your time.
Kathy, the study on the zoning is it's imperative, because this is the key to, is there resistance? You think there will be, Michael, there's no issue with that, is there?
It's a process.
It's a funding, I think it'd be a top priority because we're not.
Right, and I don't think we're hearing any kind of pushback so far on, we need to look at our zoning code. I think everyone would agree to that, to what level, we'll decide that in the future in our ask, and then we'll be to city council and they'll have to decide.
And I've talked about this, but the other thing that we need to do to try to free up some of the land that we do have that's zoned I-1 is to look at some of these uses like substations, solar battery, not backup, but storage, that's the word I was looking for, and have those be conditional uses in places other than I-1, so we can free up our business parks, we can free up our I-1 and I-2 already zoned land, so we can get light manufacturing and not have to save, let's say, 30 acres for a substation. And I think, in the future, there's certainly other places for there's a substation a couple blocks away here, so there are certainly other places that they might be appropriate with a conditional use permit other than industrial. Great. Any other questions for Kathy or Rachel? Do we really need to is Hank still the point on this?
Yes,
He did
Hank
not
is.
today.
He has.
So it's not
he's on a
Rachel.
Much needed vacation, so Rachel, thank goodness, has stepped in. They're doing yeoman's work out there. So I think you're up to how many public meetings did you say?
65.
65 so far, and we know we have another set of public engagement that we need to go through. So they're doing a great job.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. We do appreciate all your work and all of your time on this.
Thank you.
All right, next up is, we're going to business parks and assets in Emily. And I did not have the chance to publicly congratulate Emily on her promotion. We're pleased that you'll be our deputy director, so.
Do you want me to touch base on the second part of that, which was incentives?
Sure, if you want to talk about incentives a little bit.
I thought she was kicking you out.
Sorry. No. It was not intentional at all. Sorry, I forgot our incentives.
Okay, so this will be brief. I know that you just wanted a refresher on public-private partnerships. So we are going to just talk about, what they are. We do them here in Virginia Beach, as you all know, a lot. The city council has always been very good to support development that's good for the city, good for the citizens, whether it's through infrastructure. We're looking for job creation, obviously, capital investment. So the first, and I think you do have in your binder the policy that is pertaining to the evaluation of investment partnerships for economic development. And this goes back to, it was adopted in 2014 and then updated in 2015. But it really speaks to what we look at when we're considering recommending to City Council or to you as a board the types of projects that we would suggest investing in.
And we don't have those as a handout. I think it's in our binder. So it may be that we, and I was thinking about this for the EDIP, if we could recirculate to everybody the EDIP revised grant programs, and then what you're talking about, I think it would be helpful just to make sure everybody's got that.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
All right, so again, what are public-private partnerships? This is an agreement to leverage large-scale development, generate public benefit, or increase our tax revenues. It's used across the country to spur private investment, and it's a strategy for growing our economies and distributing the risk on both sides of the equation. It should be a desirable and feasible project, of course, and then again, it is here in Virginia Beach, it's guided by the city council policy, which is guidelines for the evaluation of investment partnerships for economic development. So the process here in the city for investment partnerships, this is typically through an RFQ, a PPEA, RFP, or an unsolicited developer proposal. City council, how the process works is we typically go to city council in executive session and show them the proposal and see what their initial thoughts are, whether we should even consider carrying it to the next step. Our two city council liaisons are typically appointed, and then if BBDA has an involvement in the project, two liaisons from the board here are also named. We go through a lengthy due diligence period, and the most important piece of this is, as you all probably know, we have an excellent budget management services department led by Kevin Chavalier over the city. We'll turn everything over to them, and they will run all of their modeling so that they can then come back and recommend, whether we should move forward or not, depending on what the return to the city is going to be or what the benefits are. Then we have, if we decide to take it to that next level, we go through a public engagement process. You saw this most recently, the largest public engagement that we had, if you all recall, before Atlantic Park went forward. We had several meetings at the convention center and received public input on that. And then if it goes through the next steps, city council says, okay, let's go ahead and continue on with this. We'll draft a development agreement with the developer or the development team and eventually bring it forward to city council for their approval, since they will have to appropriate funds. So current past examples of public-private partnerships, Town Center, of course, where we're sitting today. This was a very successful project for the city. Most recently, Pembroke Square, the city council appropriated funding for 2 garages there to help with the redevelopment of that site. The amphitheater, of course, Heron Ridge Golf Course, and then I just mentioned one of our largest projects going on right now is Atlantic Park. And that is set to start coming online this spring, so we're really excited about that. And just some pictures, of course, and I think that's it. So I would just call your attention to the policy, and we will make sure you have another copy of this, but this goes through, and it's the typical things of what we would consider a project, what the benefits would be to the city, and then the types of things that city council would consider investing in, whether it's infrastructure, stormwater, regional stormwater ponds. We've got that regional stormwater pond that we're going to be doing over on 17th Street with the goal of unlocking development opportunities up and down that corridor.
I guess one of the things, so sometimes we're involved because we either own the land or the city's gonna buy the land and transfer it to us. At what point in the process, and you may not know the answer, does the city council decide that it's something that's gonna involve the development authority?
I think typically when we're talking, and Alex may want to answer because he's raising his hand.
The authority is brought in, usually if there's some asset, it's going to be a physical asset. Someone is going to be acquiring part of the project. It is easier from a procurement standpoint for you guys to do the transaction than the city. Your obligations are for the support of the city to the authority, which gives the developer you guys don't have as much money as citizens, but we usually try to bring it to the authority as opposed to the city if we're going to be acquiring something. It's just legally easier.
Got it. And I know, like for Atlantic Park, there was at least one meeting, I think it was at the convention center, that was a joint meeting, so it was city council and the development authority hearing from budgeting about the costs and the benefit analysis and all that. So I don't think we've done one of those recently where we get involved. That usually it's later on, like you said, when the decision's made as far as what assets and whether we're going to own it. So
Right.
it's helpful to have a refresher on that. Any questions for Kathy on public-private partnerships or our involvement in this?
All right, thank you.
I have a question, and it may be a question that's more appropriate for a different time, so you let me know if it is. But in terms of the amphitheater, I'm interested in knowing how that facility has stood the test of time. I know there was a fire there last year. I know that there's another music venue coming online in the city as part of Atlantic Park next spring. How do those facilities connect to each other, or what types of performances do each attract, and are we are we are we poised to meet the demands that the community has for these types of live performances between those facilities? And knowing how old the amphitheater is, how old is it at this time?
Do we know how long?
95? 95?
90s for sure.
95.
And knowing that it was constructed in the 90s, is it positioned?
1996.
1996. I saw my first concert there, and I was there in 1996.
First one there.
Is it positioned to take us into the future to meet the needs that the community has? And do we have a plan or strategy around that facility?
So what I would love to do is collaborate with our partners at Live Nation and have them come in and talk further about that, because they will be managing both, as you know. And they feel strongly about the success. I mean, the amphitheater, as you know, is just getting better and better with the shows they're bringing in. I mean, they had a record number of sellouts this year. And then they are really excited about the venue at Atlantic Park.
I mean, I think that is true, but at the same time, we're not getting some of the national acts that are touring around the country. We're not getting those, and we used to. We used to get more pop artists and the artists that were attracting, major audiences. Is that because, obviously it's because the facility isn't large enough.
Right.
And yes, I'm thrilled to hear that they're selling out, but at the same time, I wonder, are we putting ourselves into a niche, certain kinds of concerts, certain kinds of performances? I'm not going to name what I think they might be at this time, and missing other really substantial opportunities. And it's a quality of life question too. People who live here want to have access to the same types of entertainment that other communities may have, and there's really no place to do that in Hampton Roads. I'm not suggesting we think about a major arena to get a Taylor Swift concert, but
You just mentioned it.
oh, we did. Yeah. I'm not. I mean, obviously that's a whole entire different question. But what will this facility that was built in 1996 continue to meet the demands into the 2030s and beyond? And what can we do, responsibly to ensure that it continues to thrive and people have a chance to have fun?
Councilman, from an asset management standpoint, the nice thing about the way that our agreement with the operator is set up is that we've got a capital account that keeps accumulating funds. So we've got, did Howie leave it? So it's like 2 million-ish, what did you tell us, 2.1 or?
I think the amphitheater's only like 687.
It's annually 600.
Yeah, so we have money in capital, but, I think Live Nation has been a really good partner with us. And to me, it's great news that Live Nation is gonna operate both, so you don't have that cannibalization of acts. I mean, they're helping us do both venues, but certainly worth talking to Live Nation about, what their plans are for the amphitheater in the future, what we might be able to do, how maybe it could grow and expand. Because I think some of the limitation is the size of the facility, and certain acts go to certain places, where they're.
Traffic.
Well, they do. And I'm going to give you an example. I saw a concert in San Diego last year, and they built a new amphitheater in San Diego on the waterfront downtown, and it's an amazing facility. It's completely modern. It's an incredible experience to go there. And I couldn't help but thinking, and I know that San Diego's a different kind of community, but I couldn't help but thinking at that time, comparing it to what the experience is at the amphitheater, and wondering how much opportunity we're missing, not only, again, for the performances, but just for the quality of life in Virginia Beach.
Well, maybe just add Tabitha does an annual report. Maybe we could just add to her, if she had her wish list, what would she do? But she usually does. She usually states what she had, but maybe a bigger wish.
Even the facility, I mean, it looks like it was built in the 90s. And what's it going to look like in 2040? Will it still meet our needs?
Those are great questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and also an excellent transition now to Emily, where we're talking about our assets and our business parks. But that is one of our assets, and it's one of our jewels, honestly. I mean, I think they've been a great partner. The amphitheater's been a great partner with Live Nation. And whenever they do a capital project, we contribute and they contribute. So they're investing just as much as we are in the future.
Correct, yeah, the discussion is very timely. You know, we do, between Pam, our asset manager, and myself, we go out there seasonally to see the new improvements. They're always making improvements incrementally, but we have been talking about in the last couple of years with Live Nation more of a kind of master plan for the future for the facility, knowing that it is getting on that kind of 25-year mark. So very timely discussion. And I just want to say before I begin too, I know this is kind of the first time we did a retreat, but it's very helpful for staff and new leadership as well. And what we'd really like to do, we can continue this conversation later on the ideas that are coming out, but it would be helpful for us to kind of summarize the big ideas that we're hearing from you today and repeat it back to you at the next meeting for kind of a more formal goal setting to help staff with implementation and working towards some of the big ideas that come out of today as well. Great, so with that, these are more kind of images. You see this map all the time when we present stuff, right? Both of these. So we kind of wanted to walk you through it more today so you understand more everything going on in the business parks and then open it up for discussion. I recommend kind of looking at the 11x17 in front of you because they're going to be a lot easier on your eyes than the screen.
These are great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, if there's always been questions you've been wondering about the maps, you know, this is, you know, an opportunity to kind of talk through those. I'm going to start kind of just going through the legends and the colors and what everything means on here. But basically here on the right, the colors that you see, the yellow-ish color is what's available that the VBDA currently owns. So these are up to date. You can see there's about, so if you add up all the yellow, it's about 80 acres, but only about 39 of that is developable at this time. And then what's red is what also is owned by VBDA but is under some kind of legally binding contractual obligation. So a purchase agreement or an option agreement. You know, we heard from Avangard today. It's the red there. You can see the names of who has that contractual obligation as the leaders that point to them. Parcel boundaries are all in black. Anything that doesn't have a color on it is just the aerial underneath is already sold and under private ownership. It's still within corporate landing proper, so there are design criteria. If they're ever making major modifications, they have to come to you, or there's still obligation to the board, but it's under private ownership. And then everything with a gray box, the numbers on those existing parcels are on the left that tells you who owns them and what they're currently doing. You will notice little stars next to a few of those names. I will point out number 8 and number 9 have 1 star or asterisk. And that really corresponds to when the ones that we have on our radar that are required to start development within the next year. We do have a tracking system. When the parcel's sold, there's usually a recapture period where they have to start, for our purchase agreement, start construction. So we monitor that and track those and make sure that they're getting there. And then you'll notice point 1, number 12 here in the middle has 2 asterisks. And this one is partially already eligible for recapture because they, as you know, they started construction and stopped. There was a phase 2 in the back. So this is the construction area that had started and has been paused in the back. There's a phase 2 that was supposed to be implemented and that is eligible for recapture at this time. So you'll see greens on here. Those are wetlands or environmentally sensitive areas that are not really developable or would be wildly expensive to develop. The stormwater ponds, the darker blue is what's existing, and the lighter blue is what's proposed for infrastructure.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Number 12, we say it's partial recapture or is eligible. Has the process started yet, or what are y'all, what's going on there?
We have started that process.
Okay.
And by partial, she means half. So the half that's not developed currently, I think we can recapture going through the process. So that recapture is imminent. I think it's the front piece where they started and stopped.
Right.
That's the question mark, yeah.
Right, that's the question.
And the new road gives access to that recaptured piece, which,
So we have a CIP for infrastructure in this business park. That's what we've currently funded the Pond D construction with recently, just finished in the last year, as well as more utilities to serve some of these southern parcels. And we've requested, still unfunded, but in the future to get A and B underway. We have enough left, we believe, between CIP and VBD land sale proceeds to construct upon C and the rest of roadway, hopefully within the next year as well.
And Bill's got a question.
Sure.
As we're looking at these colors here, particularly the red, it applies to this park, but frankly, any other property that we own. They're listed as under contract. Are they fully executed contracts, or are they at different phases, such as letters of intent that haven't been returned? Or is everything in red fully executed?
They're at various stages. Some are options to purchase, some are purchase agreements, some are LOIs. So again, anything that's the board's, go ahead.
Running through them quickly, Avangrid is an option, but that's fully executed. 0.4s are executed. HRT has never been executed. We're in ongoing discussions with them, and we'll be bringing something to you before too long. And then the
If it's been approved in a resolution by this board in public setting, is when it gets turned to red color.
And I think one of the things, and talking to Bill, and I was thinking about this, we've got some gray areas because we don't have a policy, but I think we should have a policy around where we've approved a letter of intent and how long it should be before that turns into a contract. Because, if it's just a letter of intent, we don't have a contract, I don't think that shows a real commitment either way. So I think we should have a time period on all of our letters of intent where it expires in 90 days if the parties don't reach an agreement, because we've got some of these limbo situations.
Attention. An emergency has been reported. All occupants walk to the nearest stairway exit and walk down to your assigned re-entry floor or main lobby. Do not...
Can you find out from the front desk if you know anything? There was a test.
Let's go.
It didn't happen yesterday.
It's running away already, right?
Okay, wait, that looks like somebody from building management is maybe coming this way.
Just a test. Great. Thank you.
That would have been horribly poor timing, yeah.
So, Madam Chair, we could start looking at the resolution. This resolution will be effective for XYZ days unless an agreement is reached.
I think we need to do that with, and it applies here, but it also applies to where we award an RFP that's supposed to turn into something. And there's one I can think of that David probably knows something about because it's in the Kempsville-ish area where, we've got stuff that's just hanging out there where we award an RFP and then the developer, something happens and it never materializes. We need to take that land back or make sure that it's not listed as under contract because it's not really. So I think our RFPs should have timing on them as well. So that we don't, because land is at a premium, especially industrially zoned land, and we need to do everything that we can. I know when Chuck was kind of working on a lot of these asterisk parcels, making sure we get them back when we're supposed to, and so I think we just need to be very careful when we either option land in the future or how we communicate with bidders and any of this where we have letters of intent. We should be clear that it's got to turn into an agreement that's actionable or it's null and void. So great, because we can't tie up land on a future promise or something that may happen if the market gets better or whatever. It's not good for us. We'd not be effectively managing our properties or, our fiduciary duty to the citizens of the city and how we incentivize growth.
Great. We agree, and that'd be very helpful for us as well. I think the kind of last things I wanted to point out at corporate landing before we move on, you know, easements are in orange, if you can't tell, but there is an overhead Dominion line that comes here, which is one reason that the substation and things are this is very attractive to them because of that power transmission, as well as data centers, because they're power hogs, right? So we have the cable landing station number 20, Celsius, and Global Links up here that also runs the conduit system for the property over there. Just in infrastructure, I mentioned Pond C and the roadway coming. That recent, we're waiting on the final bids for that, but we do anticipate if Pond A and B were to be built, upwards of 8 to 10 million to get those done as well on the current bid prices we're seeing. So there's still outstanding stuff with the last phases. That would really need, needed to serve this future parcel that's about 7 acres developable in here. B would be needed ideally for this 5 acres. But Pond C, which is going to be first to be constructed, will really serve the HRT parcel and this 4 acres, making it much more developable, as well as the Beach Fellowship parcel in red. Great, and I think I have an image just of the recent construction, a bird's eye view that shows Pond D as it's been constructed. This is the stockpiles that we've had some discussions about. A lot of people are interested in sand, and we offer those to people in corporate businesses in corporate landing at a half market rate. And then as well as Pond C is going to be way up there at the end, and the future roadway, you can kind of see it starting to, where it will sit within that infrastructure as well.
Emily, quick question, and thank you for the aerial. I think that's very, very helpful. Is that the thing that extends out, I guess, to the land that Avangrid has? Or is it?
Yeah, so Avangrid, you can always see the aerial lines I just mentioned.
Right, it's on the other side of that.
There, and the lake that goes up there as well.
Got it. And then for the light blue A, B, and C ponds, is the construction of that something that we can do now if we had the funding, or are we waiting for those other parcels to be under contract before we start infrastructure?
If we are given the money, we will spend it, get it done. I want to thank our VBDA engineers, your VBDA engineers in the back, VHB, JD, and Matt. We could not do a lot. They're really almost an extension of staff.
Wonderful. So do we need more money from council to be able to build that infrastructure?
We will, yes, in the future, to make some of those parcels, serve them for development.
And that's part of our incentive to these businesses is that, we've got stormwater that could be in place, which is a tremendous expense. And we've got power and other utilities as a benefit to the land that we're able to provide.
What is between parcel 15 and 16? I guess it's on perimeter way towards the top.
So 15 owns both of these parcels.
Oh, okay.
Future phase for Global Links is proposed.
We had been talking at one point, and this is probably a director and a half ago, about the potential maybe to expand one or both of these. Were we talking about land around corporate landing, or are we talking about land around innovation? Or
I think there's been various discussions over the years. What I'm pretty sure that there was some discussion. So there's a parcel up here that Dominion is currently interested in. It's under private ownership. They're currently pursuing as a CUP. The Amazon facility is right over here.
Okay.
As well. So, and there is a city-owned parcel around here. But the problem is, as you get into some of these forested parcels, there's a lot of wetlands. It's very wet through there, and it makes it very difficult for development.
All the parking for Geico, that's a lot of surface parking. At least it appears to be on the map. Is there any opportunity there to put a garage in and free up some land?
That is an excellent idea.
It's probably a to be determined kind of a question, but actually it's a good.
Yeah, no,
it's a really good thought. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking at everything to the bottom right, what orientation the map is, or to the other side.
That is a lot of surface parking. Are they even fully occupied?
So they used to be. They have about 1,000 employees, but since COVID, there's a lot of work from home that takes place. So there might not be as many on-site workers as there used to be.
I wonder if they'd be willing to sell us back some of that. I mean, it'd be worth a conversation.
Just see a lot of parking surface larger than some of the entire.
Yeah, I mean, they've got acres and acres and acres of, if you're looking at number 5, yeah, they've got a ton of.
Find a creative solution to recapture some of that parking.
This is extremely helpful to be able to see this. And I know we had talked about doing a bus trip, but I think just even having the aerial kind of helps people understand just the sheer size of the stormwater that we've already developed to me is amazing. I mean,
It is. I mean, you drive by Dr. Johnny's and see the fancy cars all the time, but knowing what's behind there.
yeah, you can't really get a real sense of what's behind it, that's for sure.
And we're happy, I mean, staff is always, if any commission, board members would like to take tours, one-on-one, just get a hold of us. We're out there all the time.
Yeah, that's great.
Whatever happened with the Beach Fellowship, are they going forward with that project? That land?
Yeah, so we achieved the drainage easement that was needed with them and signed the development agreement, which
Okay.
gives, they're in their due diligence period, it's 180 days from, I wanna say June, so they have about 6 months now to move forward, and they're working through, I believe that.
Okay, all right.
That will be Kathy's.
Yeah, for some of these others where we've got asterisks, is there any active, and it may apply to the next one, it may be helpful just to know what the site plan status is, if you, Kathy, if you even know. Because I think we've got some potential opportunities where we've got a contract or something in place, but the site plan may not be moving along.
Yeah, so we do have a spreadsheet, we track all the parcels and where they're, sell a record number and try to keep after where they are through the site plan submittal process, especially for the ones that we know have the fuses to develop. This area was a bit old, .1, number 10, I'm sorry, precision measurements, number 10. Looks vacant, but actually just broke ground, so it just within the past 6 months.
So they've got an approved site plan and they're
They've already started construction.
Okay, got it.
Number 8, BNK is, I believe, very close to site plan approval. If not, it's just been, I think, an interest rate timing financing issue for them. But we do try to keep after that and check in with these businesses as well. Number 9, the Oceana Development LLC parcel. We've been in recent conversations with them, and we're beginning to throw out some ideas of how they would like to develop and have a preliminary site plan. So we hope to see movement on that soon as well.
Can we get that added to our asset tracker? It would be good for us on the asset tracker to also have a column where we can see, site plan, where they're actively pursuing construction versus maybe where there's a lull or a lag, where we might need to, send out a reminder, encourage people, or let them know that they've got a deadline.
Sure. I mean, I think in the corporate landing section, it alludes to it in the notes, and we can just provide you access to the corporate landing tracking spreadsheet, so you can see all that and make sure it's up to date.
Yeah, just so if we can see where they are in the site plan process. And then the other lesson from parcel 12, obviously, is that we need to evaluate our recapture language that ends up in our deeds, because I don't think we ever sort of anticipated or contemplated start and stop construction situation. So the deed says they have to start construction within a certain period, or we can recapture. The problem with number 12 is that they started and stopped and left town or whatever. And so I think we need to be a little more careful about how we describe what triggers the recapture. It's not good enough to just stick a couple pilings in and walk away. I mean, that doesn't work for us.
Okay. Last calls for corporate landing. If not, I'll move on to innovation.
I think we're good. Thank you for all of that information.
Innovation Park, again, it looks like that. We try to mimic the same kind of color situation, to mean the same thing on this map. So that, again, the yellow is what is currently DBD owned and available. That adds up to about 27 acres total, which is about 23 developable of the yellow that you see. There is one with an option to purchase the 3.75 acres right at the corner of Princess Anne and Hudon Way. That purchase option expires December 2024, so we're closely monitoring that one at this time. There is some significant easements and wetlands and preservation areas with Innovation Park. We have a CBOW easement that we recently sold to them, the easement rights in the past year, as well as a lot of forested mature wetlands in the northern portion. We are currently having that 5-year JPA is about to expire, so we're having that reevaluated in the wetlands, especially under the new regulations. The guidance hasn't really been provided from that ruling just yet, but we are having it reevaluated by wetland studies in conjunction with Parks and Rec for the larger Princess Anne Commons area currently this year.
Those are completely isolated. Which means that the Corps may not have jurisdiction anymore.
Potentially. Still, the jury's still out on a lot of the actual implementation guidelines, is what I'm being told. But
Well, the court told them they didn't have jurisdiction, but I think they're fighting that, is the fair way to put that.
Yeah, so we were relying on Wetland Solutions, Kerr's team, nationwide experts in this to help us.
Great, yeah.
Delegate, they were on our BBD engineering team. And then again with the existing ponds, this one, so AGI is under construction now. I'm about to show you some construction drone photos. We attend monthly progress meetings with them. They're well under construction. I would say they're about 30% of the way there. Light blue is existing ponds, kind of a bone-shaped one we're adding on to. Right now with this current construction, we're extending Hudon Way to the cul-de-sac as well as the new little pond that was recently completed there. Kind of everything to the west and south is still proposed. So this pond extension, but there's no kind of funding or plan to really get them implemented at this time. And there is a new pump station going in that will serve AGI in some of these parcels, but there will be a needed sewer extension from that pump station now along Tournament Drive to really implement those. So there's still another phase of construction, but we're making great headway with the current CIP and funding that we do have. So this is, again, this funny little shaped existing pond with drones taken kind of looking back. So you can currently see acoustical sheet metal there. This is Princess Anne Road and current Hudon Way cul-de-sac. So you can see the extension of where the road will be extended, the existing pond, and then the new extension. They're just about to join the two recently with construction. And this is a cost participation agreement with AGI and the general contractors, Brinkley. This one.
Where's the AGI? Is it to the left?
Behind us. So the next one is looking back the other way. So the AGI, you can see, has their front kind of concrete tilt-up facade up, and then their metal behind that. That's the other little pond that was constructed. This is their new access way to the back. This will be their front parking area, and then they have a kind of a big berm and amphitheater in the back for staff and amenities for the site. And then more kind of a better building photo of the tilt-up facade, as well as the kind of the scale of the building in the back is significant. Yeah, I think that's the last one right here.
That's great. Thank you for sharing those, because that's really, really helpful to be able to see that. I'm not even sure you can see that from, like, if you're driving down Princess Anne, you're not.
Look for it.
No,
Yeah.
you can't see.
Yeah.
You can kind of see through the trees something going on.
Tournament Drive.
That's great. Any questions for Emily on Innovation Park? It's helpful to have all of this, the materials and the aerials, and I know for, I'm really appreciative to you, Emily, and to planning staff, Kathy and Rachel, and everybody involved in economic development getting this ready, because I think this is exactly the type of conversation we needed to have and what we really need to see to help us do our job. So I think this is excellent.
Top right one, are we close to a contract on this one?
Say that again.
The top right one there, are we, it's 5.8 acres, are we close to something?
We have received an LOI on it. It hasn't been brought publicly forward yet. We're still kind of working on some due diligence there. But so nothing's been formalized yet, but there is some interest on that one. The infrastructure at that portion of the park, as I mentioned, is still kind of a challenge. So working through some of that stormwater in that sewer extension that'll be needed. So, I mean, I don't have real numbers for you, but again, to extend the sewer line that's needed along Tournament Drive to connect to the new pump station, as well as at least 3 new stormwater ponds, could be anywhere from 10 to 13 million based on the current prices that we're seeing coming in. Full disclosure.
And so that goes into the value, right? So when we're assessing some of these properties, that may have a lower assessed value, but I think when we look at what we're charging, we need to include a portion of what we're gonna have to be able to invest in it to really make it useful. And I don't know if they share pro rata or how we look at that, but certainly, I mean, I don't want to say giving away, but we really need to be careful about how we're assessing and how we're valuing some of this real estate, especially knowing that we're going to have to invest quite a bit in the infrastructure. And granted, that's part of what we're giving, or part of our grant to them is that it's somewhat discounted, but I think we do need to be careful about how we allocate the values that we're having to invest across these properties. The area, Emily, below where it says multi-use trail, so you've got the blue tier that's already a pond, and then you've got a potential pond. That area down there is not part of the park. Is that another area that we've talked about maybe adding to the park?
There has been discussion about that. Currently, it's Parks and Rec is programming that in the current master plan. And part of the ITA shows that the current master planned ITA plan, as part of the current comprehensive plan, shows that as recreation use.
Yeah. Where was the wastewater treatment facility supposed to go?
So that's to the south. Kind of where Lansdowne comes and does the bend, it's just south of there.
So that wasn't ever part focused.
The other side of Princess Anne Road, I know they just within the past few years built all of those homes, which I can see on the right of center. Existing homes to the left that have been there for quite a while. What are the options? I know certainly, I don't know who owns it, but what is allowed, I should say, between those two developments, the new one and the existing one on the other side of Princess Anne Road?
Sorry, are you referring to this?
No, to the left.
Yeah.
From there, yep. That's right between two residential sections.
Yeah, I'm not 100% confident off the top of my head, but there is some city land and there are some wetlands in there, but we can look into that and get back to you.
Most of it's privately held.
Understood.
And I don't know.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead, David.
South of the sportsplex and Fieldhouse, it's been about 10 years ago. Parks and Rec came in, they were gonna put a single A team over there, build a stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And 20 baseball fields and stuff like that. Did that just go,
They were unable to get financing.
was that what it was? Okay.
That's what part of that update is right now that they're doing, and I think they're getting ready to roll out that publicly in the next month or so.
Okay.
Any other questions for Emily? Thank you. This has been brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is Pam going to talk at all about the other assets, or is that just informational for us?
Yeah, we have it in there, but we're happy to answer questions. And we know you've seen it before. And we've kind of did that, in the past year, the asset refresher. There's some kind of death by PowerPoint today to you, but I'm happy to answer questions or continue to discuss as needed.
Okay, I think the land that I was thinking of is the historic Kempsville B2 that we have. No, we've got more land than that. There's some RFP hanging out there. I don't think we ever had a policy for kind of closing the loop on RFPs that never turned into anything. And again, for these letters of intent that never seem to go anywhere. So any way that we can look for to tie up loose ends or force some action on a property where if it doesn't happen, you know, great, but we know we've got that land that we can take back and have it, you know, either put out another RFP or get it out to the community so people know that it's available.
Kempsville, as I'm rendering it, is a BBDA parcel surrounded by city land, so that would definitely need to be a partnership with the city, make it for the highest and best for that whole corner. And I believe there's still some out parcels that haven't been acquired yet, and it's been really the challenge with that whole corner.
And I thought of a question that I had that I think you may know the answer to. The study that we paid for the oceanfront, as far as the hotel and retail, is that study available yet, or is that something that we're going to get next meeting?
So we have a draft. I don't know if it's ready for public consumption yet, but we're working towards that with the CBRE study. And then there's a Central Beach Small Area Plan that's underway that is done some stakeholder engagement. It's into concept design at this time. We anticipate another round of public engagement in the next 30 to 45 days when those concepts roll out for input as well. That's really the kind of the convention and sports center area up to Mocha, south maybe to 17th Street and Norfolk Avenue.
Okay, and you'll let us know when the engagement happens for those, or
Yes,
when
definitely.
it's coming. And I guess the Mocha, that's not one of our assets. Okay. But I imagine there's going to be a lot of interest from the community in how that gets redeveloped, what that ends up looking like.
That is zoned
Which is
Zone
preservation.
and it's in the AQs, so there's limited of what you can do there.
Is it legal non-conforming for art space? Or
There's certain things you can do with the existing building. If you were to scrape it, then you're gonna limit where you can build, so you kind of
Gotcha. But that's not our assets.
Is it not possible to be rezoned?
It can be, it's just, still with the AQs, you are limited on certain uses, period.
Which brings up another interesting point. So when the AQ's maps were done, and when some of these avigation easements, so the air rights that the Navy actually bought from people, they have a listing of things that you can do that's non-exclusive and a list of things that you can't do that is exclusive and express. I don't think there's ever been any update so that the uses that AQs allows are also recognized by the Navy, because they've got some outdated definitions of some of these things. And so I don't know how we get an update on that, but some kind of syncing where what our AQs and our zoning ordinance says should be allowed is somehow synced up so that the Navy recognizes definitions of things or types of uses that maybe weren't contemplated in the 40s and 50s that we now have.
They did an update, I believe, there was an update in 2022, and this was brought to our attention probably about 6 months ago. And so we sent all of that information to the Navy so that we can reconcile.
Okay.
And there's more to that, and it does in fact match
Okay.
what we need it to.
Okay, and is there any plan by the Navy to update their AQ's maps, or?
Where the current contours are? Not at this time. And they have not changed since, it was 1999. They have not
Yeah.
changed. People do throw that out there on occasion that they've changed, they haven't at all.
It's good to know. And then I think our last would be, obviously, we want to keep plugging to try to get the Navy to engage with us on their future base use. Because I gotta believe there's a use that we have for a user that would fit really well with the mandates that they've announced publicly as far as what they'd be looking for in a partner. Plugging away at that.
Continue to pursue that.
If there's nothing else for Emily, I think we're, board member, additional topics of interest, are we there? Strategic direction, future targets. This is board members' opportunities to talk about burning questions, comments, things that they'd like staff to look at, things that maybe we should be looking at as far as strategic visioning. I heard Emily said that they've taken notes and that we'll kind of have a regroup on some of these goals, so hopefully a future meeting. Any thoughts, Mike? I know you sent in thank you for sending in a full list of things that you wanted us to look at, and hopefully we've covered a lot of the high points in the amount of time that we had.
Yeah, just a couple little things. Maybe. The notes.
David, any thoughts? You're the only one of us, I'm pretty sure, that's ever been on the planning commission, and you served that body for 8 years, so.
Really 10, but.
That probably seems like.
We're not counting.
Years, but it's counting, yeah. Any thoughts?
So, the only thing I know council wanted us to look into affordable housing and be part of that. Where do we stand with that?
So we had asked for an update on that, and I think Ruthie Hill, they're still working through some issues, so we will get a presentation, they just weren't ready for today.
Okay.
My understanding.
We started some initial discussions with Richmond and the state programs, and we'll be back for an update as soon as they have a little longer.
And so I think they're still looking for ways for Development Authority to be involved in that. There's certainly.
There is a governor's housing meeting here in Virginia Beach in November, focusing on that. And the MEDAC, joint MEDAC groups, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, are proposing to have a panel to address affordable housing for militaries.
That's great, yeah. To the extent that we can be involved and help advocate, I'm happy to do that.
So, just a couple of notes. We went over a little bit of the training program, startup support, available resources, workforce development through local high schools and colleges. I mean, where are we with that? I'm sure there's programs, but it's just a critical, just like Isan said, they want to do these things, and it's critical that we do these things, but who's dedicated to doing it to ensure that it's getting
Things happening. Sarah Lockett actually is leading up a lot of these things.
So,
We're all aware of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, good to explain, so Sarah Lockett is Virginia Beach Public School, it's Dr. Lockett, and she is in charge of the alternative programming or technology programming, and we've been extremely fortunate to always have a really good advocate in our public school system, and I think we've heard the current superintendent talk about the fact that there's got to be a path for kids that aren't going to go to college, and not everybody's going to go to college, and we need to be really thoughtful about how we train those folks. But you're right, we need to make sure there's that connection
An action plan.
between the training and economic development.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? I'm on the board for the Virginia Masonry Association, and we work with VOTEC down here. You have this one teacher, he's 66 years old, he's getting ready to retire. When he retires, we don't have a teacher.
Right.
And we're trying to work with counselors in the school system to bring more students out to VOTEC, because there's a lot of good opportunities for not just masonry, but all kinds of construction, because construction right now is horrible with labor. So it's really difficult, and there's really nobody to find to help out with that right now. We really need to find somebody to help with that whole situation.
So, and I don't know where it comes from, but I can't think of a better place to be sourced, at least, at a macro level from economic development, because if we don't have it, we can't, continue to thrive.
Maybe we could host a program or some sort of event, maybe a roundtable, where we bring together representatives of the business community, representatives of economic development in the Hive and the school division, get everybody in a room and talk about how we might better make those connections and really help.
And that leads into this, like the corporate contribution. So a lot of people involved in schools, whether it's Tech or UVA or I do stuff with Clemson, and where we have programs. And so it's being done at a college level a lot, but not as much as a high school. And encouraging corporations to work with our high schools would be, that roundtable could be the facilitator for that. The next one was infrastructure, ensuring that we have adequate infrastructure, utilities, transportation, roads, resiliency, et cetera, to accommodate our development goals. We can set our goals, but just as something as simple as sand pits. I mean, when the sand pit runs out, where do we start sourcing? Are we going to run all the way from the other side of town to do it? And making sure that zoning and planning and everybody is aware of these imminent issues that are coming with our resources that we have. Shovel-ready properties. I know this was always a really big deal with economic development, because you don't have to give so many incentives if we have these shovel-ready properties. So our initiative to that, do we have a defined initiative program for shovel-ready properties? I know Taylor, he preached it. So I'm hoping that we could do something there.
There's state money for those things? For shovel-ready site program there? Or the spread?
I've got a question. So could we get, so in order to make, and our business parks are supposed to be shovel-ready.
Sure.
That's our shovel-ready property. And we saw that there was still infrastructure, specifically stormwater, that was needed. Is there state money available for stormwater for our business parks?
That's a great question. I'll pose that to the gentleman who runs the program.
Thank you.
Emily, did you have
I just want to add real quick. Both of our business parks are state tier rated for shovel readiness, and we have applied for Go Virginia Grant for the past, particularly in the innovation park, to get this help with the stormwater, the new pump station that's going in. I think we received an $850,000 grant for that. But knowing that there's more infrastructure, we would love to continue to pursue those efforts.
And this is a simple one, just a marketing strategy to attract investment from out of town. And then sustainability initiative. I know this sounds, kind of fluffy, but it's true. I mean, there's a lot of companies that need, in order for their governance to come here, particularly publicly traded companies, that have sustainable business environment, for green, et cetera, is critical.
So do you mean incentives for green building, or what? What are you thinking there?
Well, not necessarily. Having what are initiatives that we have as a community that are in a package that can be part of the marketing package to attract businesses here, because it's not only is it attractive to them to change their governance, but it's required in some companies' governance. Correct. It's just
access to your point, and obviously wind energy and solar are the two that come to mind.
Sure, absolutely.
And how we welcome those.
Or they have a CO2 neutral policy to a certain date.
And there's all kinds of little things when you talk about green cities that aren't that big of a deal, but are very attainable, and we can do it. That can be just added to the resume, but it has to be in a marketing package. This is really simple, and I apologize everybody for this, but I really think that when we look at this facade improvement programs, I think we need to look into, I was on the initial group that did this, and I think we really need to look at what are we paying for. I love it. I think it's great. It's great for the community, but I really think that people should at a minimum power wash their own house. Places, if they can't rent a power washer, they can't be in business. They're not going to make it. So I think, just in my opinion, power washing and little paint ought to be off the list.
Do we need to look at that policy, because don't we have a policy that says what they can use those funds for? I mean, is it a matter of just changing that policy?
Yeah, so I mean, we usually launch it in January every year, and our November or December meeting, we can kind of bring what's eligible and have that discussion with you and see what needs to be rolled out. We don't, take your direction from that.
Let's do that. So before you advertise the program next time, let's have a conversation about what should and shouldn't be reimbursable.
We'll do.
And the last one has just always been something I know in the different organizations that I'm involved with, trade organizations, that public-private partnerships, I think that I saw what we have, I think it needs to be a little clearer. I think it can induce more investment if there's a clearer path to public-private partnerships. I think sometimes our community engagement sometimes is not fully there. I will say that Atlantic Park probably set the record for as many community engagements as they did. Maybe they did more than probably all combined, which I think at the end of the day was very beneficial. There's community buy-in on Atlantic Park. I really think we need to seriously look at the community. What are the public benefits when we do them? I'm all on board with public-private partnerships, but there has to be benefit, and it also cannot disrupt the market. And I think we need to really fine-tune it a little bit, because public-private partnerships get bad raps, and I don't think they deserve it. I think if they're done clean and there has a strong public benefit, then I think that we ought to be doing more of them if we can, but they need to be very clear and precise. And I guess the last thing is, we saw the inventory, and I appreciate it, and it's slimming down. And bringing in companies that are paying higher wages is partially going to slow down the demand, which is good. But I think we need to start looking at possible acquisitions more seriously. We talked about it a little bit today, but I think it ought to be a strong initiative as well. That's all.
Do we actually, that brings up a good question. Do we have a policy for what to do with our land sales funds? I know we've been able to reallocate some of those, but.
Back in the general fund?
Yeah, it depends on where the money came from in the first place. So if it's corporate landing, traditionally you've reinvested that into infrastructure, corporate landing, but you don't have to. But if money that came from the city, the city's already asked for it back.
And does the corporate landing money, and this may be a Howie question, does that, those sales proceeds end up in a special bucket just for corporate landing?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's still in the operating account overall, but in the accounting records, yeah, it's separate.
Do you know off the top of your head how much we have?
I think the corporate landing one was like 3.8 million. The innovation part has its own too. I think that was like 1.2 million.
So, I mean, theoretically, we could use that for acquisition and infrastructure, I would think.
And then maybe somebody dedicated to, not the only job, but dedicated to really start looking at opportunities. Well, I have one last thing, is parking. I think we need to really understand parking and how it can be leveraged to create redevelopment, and to include starting at the oceanfront all the way back to here or to wherever, and a clear path for it. Because as someone has most of my business at the oceanfront in the city, although I don't have a parking problem, it's clear that the areas that don't have parking are the ones that are more blighted. And I think that it would encourage tremendous redevelopment if we really were proactive about it. And I know you guys have been working on it, Kathy, for a long time, but I don't know if everybody really grasps what ability they have to do it and to understand it.
So you're thinking in the redevelopment, you could scrape and go up and have some of that up include city participated parking?
Right, and if when they're strategically placed, then the redevelopment happens on either side of it a couple of blocks. And the real estate value, let's say it's $20 million an area, you could all of a sudden go to $200 million. The city reaps that. But not only that, we start to have a better place that people want to visit and have accessible parking. Right now, parking would be good at the city parking lot, and if it's a time that you want to be there, is $15. And it's kind of, if I'm living wherever in the city and I'm trying to buy in on a resort, saying it's a place I want to go, and all of a sudden I'm a taxpayer and I got to go pay $15, I'm in the parking business, and I want it to be less, not for me, but I think in the big picture we'll all win as a city, believing in the resort. And, and hence, when you have less year-round visitors, the businesses aren't going to be the quality either. So we'll continue to have the turnover, the low quality, lower quality businesses, and we can really lift it up if we have some parking down there.
Kathy, I know in the past we've looked at various requests, applications. Do we have a strategic plan for parking?
So we do have a plan that's laid out on a map of where we think parking should go. And it's usually every 3 to 5 blocks. And Ruby Loop, for instance, we'd likely to see a parking out there as part of that. And then every 3 to 5 blocks all the way up. We are working with some developers who have some plans on the radar to partner with them to, we may build along with their deck 200 parking spaces. We're trying to do everything between Pacific and Atlantic because we have learned that you go west of Pacific, the beachgoers don't use it as much, the patrons don't use it as much, so we're really trying to strategically keep it between Atlantic and Pacific. And we do have a CIP that's sitting there with some money in it to do such activities as that. So hoping in the next couple of years some things are going to shake loose along with some private development.
Sounds good. So there's a plan. And I think it's maybe helpful for the public to know where to see that plan or how they could know where the potential parking may be.
Yeah, we can talk about putting that one plan up on the webpage and doing a little bit more to say, hey, this is the general outcome of what we'd like to be. A lot of what happens is we can't do anything until, not that we can't do anything, but it makes it a lot easier if the private sector is doing something and we tag along with them. So a lot of it has to do with who's doing what where and if they do want to partner with us. We do have a few projects.
Yeah, and they had to tear down existing, that's part of the problem. So it's hard for the city to go out and just go to property and go, okay, we're gonna put something here when it's already developed.
But I think if the information is accessible on our webpage, then maybe somebody looking to invest in a property that they know they're gonna have to redevelop, they might see that there will be an opportunity for participation in the park.
Yeah, and maybe send it off to the Hotel Association because most of the people don't know about it. So,
Yeah, and it's not one of those formally adopted plans or anything like that. It's just we've looked at within a certain walking tolerance for an individual, whomever, pedestrian, where it appears as if, based on what we have in place now, 9th, 25th, 31st Street, where they would fit, other pieces would fit in that parking portfolio. And we have a lot of parking coming online this next year, 1,500 spaces with Atlantic Park. So we're moving the ball forward slowly, but again, we need some private, because it's all privately owned down there.
Yeah. And is that a planning function, or is that?
It's something that when we were the SGA Office Development Office, Project Development Office,
It was an SGA function.
Emily and her team, yeah. Together, and when we had parking here too.
So who would be in charge of that now? Is that, okay. Good to know.
That team in connection with us and with.
It's a collaborative,
With
yes.
parking, of course, as well.
Yeah. I had a boss that used to say, no job is too hard for the person that doesn't have to do it. He was right. All right. This has been fabulous. I think we've all learned a tremendous amount. Any other commissioners have any questions, thoughts after having gone through this process, which I think has been very, very helpful?
I think we should do it once a year.
Oh, I think absolutely, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think it's important for us to sit down and really think about this. I know the departments go through a goal setting with the manager's office, right? Isn't that part of each department?
Department performance plan is one thing that we do, and now we have the focus action plan that city council has set priorities going forward the next 2 years. These are good, all public documents, and so we're working on those.
Well, I think it would be helpful for us to know what the economic development plan is, just so that we have some visibility on that, and I think that would help further guide us. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, we've got 4 minutes left. I think we've used our time extremely well. I mean, there's a lot that we wanted to cover, and again, thank you to everyone on the staff for helping to put all of this together. It's been invaluable, it really has, and I know it was a heavy lift for everybody. Yeah. No further comments, questions? Alex, do I have to do anything to adjourn?
I think just stay adjourned
All right.
and wave your hands and.
Well, thank you to everyone for making this time available. I think this has been excellent, and as far as I'm concerned, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.